Do you speak English? I mean, that's an interesting question, isn't it? Because, I mean, technically, as long as you can say hi, hello, good morning, yes, and no, well, yeah, technically you could say that you speak English, but I guess we should talk about what speaking is. And let me tell you guys, there are actually two types of speaking. Basically two types. One is spoken production, which is simply producing words, and then spoken interaction, speaking or conversing with other people. Both are important, and guess what? Today we'll be talking about both. So buckle up and get ready for an awesome, awesome episode.
Welcome to Confidently Speaking, the podcast that'll get you to fall in love with your own version of English.
Alrighty, so the very first thing I want to talk about is, okay, I know it's been quite a while since I posted an episode of this awesome podcast, but I'm gonna level with you guys. I haven't been feeling like too hot or too motivated to actually keep doing this. And the reasoning behind it is that, okay, so I forgot how difficult it was to start something, right? I know it sounds weird and probably stupid, but I had forgotten how difficult it is to start something anew, right? And, when I started posting content on social media, I mean, it was the year 2018, right? And, I mean, it was hard back then, but I didn't have any prior experience, so it was exciting and it was new, and I wanted to do it because I wanted to start teaching online, right? My main purpose was to find students, as is still the case. Most of the content that I put out there is with the intention of finding the right people so they can call me and we can start a teacher-student relationship, right? But here's the thing, that was 6 years ago, right? So I had forgotten how freaking hard it was to be talking to the microphone and then not having anybody on the other side actually reply to what you say, or at least have some sort of talk back and like an answer. So okay, so here's the thing. So far my podcast has had, in all episodes in total, I'm gonna say like somewhere around 200 300 listens. And it's not that I'm drowning with followers or attention, but that's a very, very low number. And I understand 100% that like if you're going to start something, it's going to start from scratch. And I know that, but I still found it demotivating, right? So here's the thing, I didn't know my actual students, my current students, were listening to the podcast. I mean, I told them that I would create one, and many of them, told me after the first episode that they heard it, that they liked it. So everything was, like rainbows and butterflies. But I thought they just listened to the first episode, right? And then this week, this past Tuesday, no, it was on Thursday, when I was running my speaking group, Frankly Speaking, one of my students at the end of class asked a very interesting question. She said, so what's up with your podcast? Right? And this is a huge shout out to Gabby, because I know she's listening to this. I mean, she asked a question. She told me that she listened to it. And you know what? It wasn't only her. Many of her classmates joined and told me that they were also avid, as avid as you can be, with only 7 episodes published. They were avid listeners. And you know what? That sparkled the motivation that I was actually looking for in order to continue with this, because I know there are some of you out there who want to I mean, who listened to this, just like I said, in total, there were 300 listens. But, like, you guys are not too verbal. Like, you don't let me know what you think about it. Some of you leave some comments on Spotify, but not many of you. So, yeah, I mean, this is what happened. Gabi told me that. And then, I decided to continue with this podcast because I think it might lead to something, or at least it will give me an outlet to express myself. And that is something that I should be working on. I mean, go back and listen to the first episode in which I talk about why I wanted to do this and, why I thought it was a good idea for me to practice my English because, as weird as it sounds, I don't get to practice my English when to communicate for real, because I speak English all day long, but that's, like prefabricated language. I'm using language to teach. I'm using classroom language, let's say, right? We talk about grammar. We talk about adverbs and nouns, but we don't really talk about my opinion. I really don't share my opinion with my students unless they ask, but it's very, very seldom when they do so. So I don't get to express myself, and I came to the realization that on many, many topics I just reserved my opinion to myself, and I was like, no, it's probably time for me to just get it out there, see if somebody else agrees, and deal with the people who disagree. And, just be more outspoken, be more decisive, be more interesting, I guess, because I have always been a very introverted person and never really shared my opinion. I mean, first of all, because I've been a people pleaser. I guess that's going to be something we'd talk about in another episode. But, I normally keep my opinion to myself, and I think it's time that I use my knowledge of the English language to communicate, to express my ideas, to express my vision on things, my opinion, and then just deal with the consequences of it, right? Because, I mean, how hypocritical is it that I tell my students that their opinion matters, that they should be participating in meetings, that they should be using English in order for them to communicate, and I don't really do that myself. So here it is. All right, so I'm going to create and use this episode as some sort of a tribute to my students who actually, pushed me back into creating this, because as little as, there's listening base or listener base sounds, like I know for a fact that at least 10 people are listening to this. So here we go, right? This is a huge shout out to Gabi, who originally asked the question, but I also know that Miriam listens to this, that Cori listens to this, Carlos, Adriana, and Haiti. All right. If there are many of you out there that I didn't mention, well, that's probably because you didn't tell me that you listened to this. All right. But these students that I just mentioned are the ones who were verbal about the fact that I was not publishing anymore. And five students, like 5 loyal listeners is probably what's necessary for me to continue this. Hopefully it gets to the millions, but the 5 of you guys deserve better. So here it is. Let's go ahead and get started then talking about how to speak English. All right. So I'm laughing because that was such a long introduction. And, the teaser for the episode actually tells you that we're going to be talking about the different parts of reading and the 2 different types of reading, right? So, you know what? I'm just going to stop rambling right now and then give you what you came here for. Alrighty. So check this out. Spoken production is all about producing language. It's about speaking clearly and correctly. It's your ability to pronounce words, use the correct stress and intonation, and select words that are appropriate for your purpose. Spoken production activities include, listen to this, reading a written text out loud, speaking from notes, acting in a play, talking about your life, singing a song, and telling a story. It may also include, giving presentations, expressing arguments in a debate, giving a speech, or making a sports commentary. First, let's put speaking into perspective. Speaking in any language is difficult. You know that. Even in your own language. In fact, if you listen to recordings of native English speakers, you'll be surprised at how badly many people speak spontaneously. There are examples of hesitation and false starts, mumbling, unclear language, and even errors. Oh yes. Very few people can speak really well, and those who can usually spend hours preparing and practicing their speeches. The thing is that speaking well depends on a lot of factors. Your motivation, your physical and mental state at the time of speaking, of course, who you're speaking to, how well you know the topic, where you are, the time of day, and 100 other things. So listen to this. The way to improve your speaking is to practice. That's it. Plain and simple. The way to improve your speaking is to practice. You could do some shadowing. If you guys are not familiar with the shadowing technique, well, this involves copying native speakers or really advanced users of language, somebody who you like the way they sound, right? And you listen to an audio or video recording of theirs, and just all you have to do is put on your headphones, right? Press play, and then start speaking at the same time as the person that you chose. They're speaking, and then you start speaking immediately after. But here's the thing. Not only will you focus on correct pronunciation, let's say, no, you will also listen for the rhythm and the intonation and stress. We're talking about which words they pronounce high or, more prominently, and which words are, reduced. And by mimicking exactly everything you hear, it's gonna, be a great way to improve your pronunciation. Now, you could also do the same with songs by singing along to your favorite songs. Of course, another good technique is to read out loud. To read out loud. This will help you practice saying the words and expressions. I'm going to stop you right here because this is exactly how I achieved the level, whatever high or low the language that you're listening to in this moment. My English in this moment is a result of many things, but a huge part because of how much I read out loud. Every time I sat down, I knew I was trading speed for pronunciation, and that was a trade I was very happy to make. So, I made it a habit to start reading out loud, which makes it very, very slow, my reading. But I was happy to trade off speed for practicing my pronunciation. So there you go. You might want to make the same trade-off. I don't know. All right. Now, repetition is also important. What we had to do is repeat key sentences and expressions over and over again until they become automatic. And here's the thing, guys. I know a lot of teachers out there, especially on social media, tell you that learning English shouldn't be boring. And yeah, it shouldn't be. You should surround yourself with the language that's relevant to you, that's, useful or amusing. You should make it interesting. But at the same time, guys, sometimes there's no way around the boring topics. Repetition, especially when we're talking about pronunciation. Yeah, there are ways in which you can make it less boring, right? I myself, for example, I loved pronunciation or grammar, so I never had a problem, drilling the sounds or repeating one after another, because that's the way it came. Right? Like I loved English, so I was always motivated, as opposed to creating content on it. But that's a different story, right? So guys, you need to do some language fluency drills with your teacher or with a partner that you have in order to build up fluency. You also need to memorize chunks of language. Let me say that again. Memorize chunks of language or entire paragraphs, because this will really help. A lot of the language that we use when speaking consists of set expressions and chunks of language that are repeated. We're talking about the fact that we don't speak words in isolation. We use chunks, we use phrases, prefabricated phrases. Get familiar with those phrases and then change just a couple words for you to be able to express whatever it is you want to say in that moment, right? But get familiar with the expressions. We call them stem sentences. So you might want to look into that. Also, you need to practice telling your favorite stories or anecdotes. First, start by writing them out, right? And then make notes and practice saying them to yourself. And then in public. Ooh, that one is challenging, right? Of course, you don't have to really do it in public, like face to face, facing an audience, but you can record yourself and publish it online. See what happens. I don't know. This is just a challenge. I always challenge my students to do that. I don't think I have ever had a student who took me up on that, who accepted the challenge. And now I am, sending the challenge over to you. Will you accept it? Well, you'll let me know, right? You know what, guys? I just realized that the podcast has already gone. This episode has already gone long enough. It's been 16 minutes, around 16 minutes. And I think that's actually too long. So you know what? Instead of talking about the conversational aspect of speaking in this episode, let's leave it up for the next episode. Alrighty, guys. So just like I always tell you, thank you very much for your time. Your attention is the currency that everybody's fighting for. And I am really glad that you gave it to me, in these almost 20 minutes. So thank you very much. Once again, I want to give a shout out to my students who pushed me to come back and, restart the podcast, because it's really something that, while being challenging and time consuming, I really like doing, because, I don't know, something tells me that this project will actually bring a lot of good things to my life. It'll be fruitful. Don't know how, don't know when, but I guess it'll be. So thank you once again, Gabi, Carlos, Haiti, Miriam. Oh my goodness. We have this student called Cody. That's right. Was there anybody else in there? Manu probably listens to this as well. Well, guys, if I didn't say your name, then be sure to complain about it next time you see me in class. All right. For the rest of you guys, remember that you can get in contact with me through my social media channels. All you have to do is search for English with Frank on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and X, and also Threads, if you happen to be there, LinkedIn as well. So just find me. It's easy. Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you around. Have a good one, everybody. And I'm glad to be back. I'll see you around. Bye-bye.